this is also actually very interesting, around Americans and where and how they are able to pay for their homes, and including their home insurance, something that we've been tracking quite a bit. From the Wall Street Journal, Americans are bailing on their home insurance. Some homeowners who are skipping coverage say that they can no longer afford the rising premiums. And the reason why is that many of them live in disaster areas where home insurance companies are either bailing out or creating or increasing their premiums dramatically. So for example, the national average for home insurance based on a $250,000 in dwelling coverage increased this year 20% to $1,428 annually. Others, especially people who are wealthy, they are saying at this point, paying the premium is so ridiculous because they have enough money stored away that they could probably just, rebuild if they needed to.
Yeah.
Others, though, who don't have that capacity are stuck in a situation where they are totally uninsured. They point to one man, for example, who he estimates that he has saved some $50,000 for not paying on his 1,100 square foot Los Angeles home. But should anything happen, he would very easily be liable for it. In some of these areas like Florida and some wildfire-prone areas, for example, in California, many home insurance companies have pulled out, leaving them with no option. And then if they are totally wiped out and destroyed, they are facing a serious issue. This is specifically a problem for seniors. We covered previously about how this is insane to me, 50% of seniors don't have $1 saved for retirement. $1. So they are a blown tire away from bankruptcy. Without Social Security, these people are gonna be starving in the street. And then if they, also because Social Security, you have the cost of living increase, some of them have basically been deciding just not pay their home insurance premium or don't even have home insurance. If they have some sort of disaster, they have nothing, beneath their feet, and they're gonna lose everything that they got and no sort of coverage. So home insurance is one of those where it's probably secondary to car insurance in terms of the one that matters the most, and one where a single accident can change your entire life completely overnight. Like the wealthy people in here who are trying to game the system, they're gonna be fine regardless. But if you were one of those people without $1 in retirement and you're a senior and you're not able to afford home insurance, it's one of those where it's very clear, like, we've got to get our act together and some sort of program put into place very, very, very soon, as more of these things are going to happen, or we're going to see we are one event away from mass poverty in the state of Florida or in the state of California.
Well, and we have a hurricane headed that way, and what potentially major, possibly Category 3 hurricane headed that way, which we'll get to in a moment. But just to give you some more of the numbers of how many people are quote unquote bailing on homeowners insurance, 12% of homeowners in the US now don't purchase homeowners insurance. Most of them, a majority, have annual household incomes of less than $40,000. So we're not talking about the wealthy saying, I got millions in the bank, no big deal. If a hurricane wipes out my house, I'll be fine. This is people who just literally can't afford it. And when you look at those numbers, Saagar, that you cited of on a national average, homeowners insurance went up 20% in 1 year. That's a national average. Just think of what's happening in states like Florida. Think of what's happening in states like California, in states like Colorado, in states like Louisiana, in states like Texas. These are places that have been really hard hit, and the expectation is will continue to be hard hit, where homeowners insurance companies are increasingly pulling out. Now, many of these states have a state-run option, sort of like a homeowner's insurer of last resort. But oftentimes, because, if you're left with no other option, you're probably in a higher risk category, those premiums are very high. So not only is this an issue if you face a horrific catastrophe and your home is wiped out, this is also a major issue in terms of people being able to afford a house, because mortgage issuers have to factor in not only the cost of the house, but also, are you going to be able to afford the cost of the homeowner's insurance? So this is also pushing a lot of people out in terms of affordability. There was another article that is incredibly relevant to this, just about how much the cost of these increasingly, catastrophic events, how much that cost has escalated. We can put this up on the screen. The headline here, this is also from the Wall Street Journal, are we ready for a $100 billion catastrophe? How about $200 billion? Insurance companies are struggling to keep up with economic growth, population shifts, inflation trends, and the most unpredictable variable of all, the rising prevalence of natural disasters, big and small. The cost to recover from these natural disasters has wildly escalated. And so, I mean, the bottom line that you take away from this article and many others that we've looked at, Saagar, is the homeowners insurance market in an increasing number of states is just completely broken because of where people have built, population centers, because of the increasing frequency, because of climate change of these extreme disasters, and because of, inflation and the cost to build and the cost of housing, et cetera. There is just, for many of these insurers in a lot of regions of the country, it just doesn't make economic sense. And so we've got a market that is completely broken right now with disastrous results already for a lot of people.
Yeah, and we can fix it now or we can fix it later. Because if we all know what's going to happen, there's going to be the $100 or the $200 billion catastrophe, like a Hurricane Sandy. Hurricane Sandy was a disaster, we all remember. I think it caused somewhere near $100 billion in damage. And guess what? What's going to happen? The home insurance companies are going to come to and ask for a taxpayer-funded bailout. We already know.
They already did that in Florida, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
And DeSantis gave it to them.
Well, and that's a state bailout. I mean, we're talking about hundreds. That's more than we've given to Ukraine, okay? Like, this is going to cost some serious coin if we don't actually deal with some of this now and actually implement regulation or whatever, some sort of program in order to try and head it off, or we're going to end up in the privatized world, which is then going to require a massive bailout, and then people are absolutely going to get screwed sometime in the interim. So that's why we spend a lot of time on this, especially with, as you said, we got the hurricane, which is coming down right now. Let's go ahead and put that up there on the screen. Hurricane Idalia, I believe that we were saying that correctly, Category 3 with 115-mile winds prior to Florida landfall. So, look, we don't know yet where exactly it's going to strike, damage, etc. But this is just the beginning of hurricane season. I guess in some respects it's already been going on now for quite some time. People in that area, stay safe and all of that, and also just be prepared for these scenarios and all that are only going to become even more prevalent.
Yeah, and I just looked it up to give people a sense. So first of all, 100% on Idalia, and we'll be keeping an eye on it. This could make landfall as a Category 3. This is incredibly serious. Governor DeSantis has already said, this is going to be a major storm. There are mandatory evacuations in place for some of these areas. Tampa looks like it could be hit, so we'll keep an eye on that. In terms of, historic cost of some of these catastrophes, the most financially expensive natural catastrophe in U.S. history was actually Hurricane Katrina back in 2005, estimated $186 billion in damage. But the second most is one that might surprise people. It's Hurricane Harvey, which was just in 2017, which inflicted $148 billion in damage. And Hurricane Harvey is part of what sent portions of the homeowners insurance market into a spiral and effectively broke the homeowners insurance market and made some of this so wildly expensive. So anyway, I know this is a real pain point for a lot of people, so it's something we're going to continue to follow.
Yep.
Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.